Somewhere back near the very beginning, there was light. And whether you believe in creation or evolution, or some combination of the two, life appeared on the scene. Primitive Neanderthals abandoned the cave and set out on the road to civilization. And today, as civilization continues to grow, the demand for energy is placing an unbearable strain on traditional fuel reserves. The need to harness the unlimited energy of the sun is increasing with great urgency. But while our efforts to capture the sun's energy economically have so far proved inefficient, plants have been successfully harnessing sunlight for eons. In sunlight, green plants combine carbon dioxide and water to form organic molecules. These molecules, called carbohydrates, provide material for plant growth. Green plants can be thought of as complex, self-sustaining machines, converting solar energy into chemical energy. Man-made solar collectors can't hold a candle to them. It was a candle, in fact, that helped English chemist and clergyman Joseph Priestley to discover in 1771 some of the remarkable things that plants can do. From Priestley's diary, I flatter myself that I have accidentally hit upon a method of restoring air, which has been injured by the burning of candles, and that I have discovered at least one of the restoratives which nature employs for this purpose. It was vegetation. Priestley found that candles go out when put in a closed jar, but burn well in air that plants had restored. He then replaced the candle and obtained, unfortunately for the mouse, the same result. Priestley's experiments showed for the first time that plants release oxygen, though all he knew was that the plants replaced something the mouse and candle had used up. But he wasn't aware that without light, plants couldn't restore the air. His findings sparked interest in the scientific community, leading to further discoveries. Although water was known to be essential for plant growth, it was not until 1779 that the Dutch physician Jan Ingenhousz demonstrated that sunlight is required before plants can give off oxygen. Ingenhousz also showed that only the green parts of plants are involved in the phenomenon which became known as photosynthesis. A few years later, the Swiss scientist Jean Senevier furthered the understanding of photosynthesis. He discovered that the whole process depended on a particular gas, carbon dioxide. So, by the early 19th century, scientists were ready to close this chapter on the subject. They had assumed that they had identified the basic reactants and products of photosynthesis. However, it took another century to discover that not only did plants require water, they produced it as well. Green pigment, called chlorophyll, absorbs light energy and converts it to chemical bond energy, ultimately resulting in the production of organic matter or carbohydrates. Substituting symbols for words, the equation now looks like this. Perhaps the most significant thing that happens during photosynthesis is that the carbon dioxide breaks down, and the carbon is fixed as, or becomes part of, organic matter. The other lines show the fate of the rest of the atoms involved. Brackets around CH2O show that it's only a grouping. It takes 6 of these groupings to make one molecule of the 6-carbon sugar glucose. so. Multiplying the equation by 6, the glucose molecule, C6H12O6, is now complete. While water appears on both sides of the equation, the water on the right-hand side is actually new water. This was proven by feeding plants water containing the radioactive isotope oxygen-18. Only half of the hydrogen from the old water goes into forming the new water. The rest forms part of the glucose. The oxygen from the old water is only used to form oxygen gas, which is released during photosynthesis. The oxygen in the new water comes from the carbon dioxide. But the process is far more complex than this summary equation shows. A lot happens from the time sunlight first shines on a plant to the production of enough carbohydrate molecules to grow a leaf. Current evidence indicates that photosynthesis occurs in 2 distinct stages. The first stage is dependent on light and is called the light reaction. It is the light reaction which uses the old water and gives off oxygen as a waste product into the surrounding environment. The second stage, the dark reaction, doesn't actually require darkness. It simply doesn't need light. What the dark reaction does require is carbon dioxide, as well as the products of the light reaction, except for oxygen. The dark reaction uses these substances to produce new water and supply the energy needed to fix or incorporate carbon from the original carbon dioxide into the CH2O groupings, which then, in clusters of 6, form glucose, one of the simplest carbohydrates. These carbohydrates constitute organic matter and make up most of the plant's leaves, stems, fruit, and flowers. And so the plant grows and matures. Plants then can be thought of not only as the machinery, but the product as well. An important part of the product, and the basic part of the machinery of photosynthesis, is the leaf. It is the chlorophyll in the leaf that absorbs light used for photosynthesis and gives plants their green color. Chloro from the Greek word for green, and phyle meaning leaf. In most plants, chlorophyll is found in a layer of cells called palisade cells, located just under the leaf's upper surface. Palisade means fortification, and what the palisade cells enclose are special membrane-bound bodies called chloroplasts. In a palisade cell from a tobacco leaf, shown here in cross-section, the chloroplasts line the inner membrane of the cell. Inside each chloroplast is an elaborate system of long, thin membranes called lamellae. And it's here at last where the chlorophyll is found.